Welcome to today's explainer. Most self-help frameworks out there totally fail because they treat human character development as this vague, squishy, emotional exercise. But today, we're looking at things completely differently. We're diving into the life and framework of Larry Gibbs, a man who treated personal sovereignty as a literal construction project, a complete logic matrix. We're going to approach character development not as poetry, but as an explicit engineering discipline built from thousands of tiny, specific daily inputs. Because if you want to build a life that stands up to the absolute heaviest storms, you have to engineer it.
Hit pause for a second, because this right here is the central thesis of our entire explainer. Information without execution is overhead. Think about that. If a virtue or a philosophical concept cannot survive a real-world stress test, it isn't actually a philosophy at all. It's just a luxury. It's mere decoration. Larry Gibbs firmly believed that a principle that can't be reduced to a specific behavior triggered by a specific situation is completely useless. We aren't here to just think about acting. We are here to act.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We are moving from that abstract, theoretical blueprint straight into the hard, physical reality of a concrete pour. We're going to build this philosophy layer by layer, exactly like a master builder constructs a skyscraper. We start deep underground with the bedrock, frame the internal walls, erect the load-bearing columns, and finally cap the whole thing with a massive canopy.
All right, so here's our actual engineering blueprint for today. We'll start with translating theory into concrete, lay our foundational bedrock, put up our internal framing, construct our load-bearing columns, build the canopy, and finally, close out the ultimate legacy.
Phase 1. Translating theory into concrete. Treating philosophy as an actual engineering project.
Moving right along to Phase 2, foundational bedrock, and what we call the magic button. Now, what's really interesting about this foundational awareness is that it isn't just some passive, poetic observation. No, it is a radical, load-bearing recognition that human existence is an absolute miracle. This is an active defense mechanism. It's the bedrock that keeps you from sleepwalking through your daily life, and more importantly, it's your ultimate anchor when tragedy inevitably strikes.
To prove exactly how strong this bedrock is, Larry developed a thought audit called the magic button. And he actually invented this tool in the real world to stress test the bedrock for a grieving friend named Bobby. Bobby had tragically lost his 22-year-old son in an accident and was understandably consumed by sheer grief and anger. So Larry confronted him with a hypothetical scenario. What if you had a magic button sitting right in front of you? Here is the absolutely brutal trade-off of that button. If you press it, it instantly deletes all of your pain, all of your sorrow, and all of your grief. Boom, gone. But the catch is, it also permanently deletes every single memory you ever had of the person you lost. You wouldn't even remember they existed. So would you press it? No way. No one would. And by realizing you never pressed that button, you prove to yourself that the immense value of the experience completely outweighs the temporary pain. It instantly reframes your suffering and solidifies your entire foundation.
Let's step up to Phase 3, internal framing, radical imperturbability. Larry's vision of a realized person is completely centered on imperturbability. Think about the word perturbed for a second. If you're perturbed, you're upset, right? Your environment is controlling your emotions. So to be imperturbable means you possess the internal framing and the resilience to simply not get upset over external chaos. You dictate your internal state, not the outside world. Let's move to and see how this actually builds in real time. When a crisis hits, you follow the crisis triad checklist. Step 1. Define the problem objectively. Step 2. Recognize that this isn't just bad luck. It's a crucible meant to test your imperturbability. And Step 3. Pivot 100% of your energy to execute a dispassionate solution. So how does this look in practice? Well, picture this. One day, a worker accidentally smears sheetrock mud all over a prized framed poster in Larry's office that literally read, "Just be cool." I mean, the instinct for any boss would be to scream, right? But that's the stress test for your internal framing. Larry immediately stopped his internal dialogue. He realized that if literal mud had the power to disturb his peace, he wasn't actually cool. So, you know what he did? He left the mud on the sign. He framed it in gold, turning a failure into a permanent visual lesson to suppress emotional reactions and just focus on solutions. Which brings us to Phase 4, load-bearing columns, total independence. You see, total independence isn't just handed to you. It's a load-bearing structural column that you have to build through gritty, practical competency. Early in his career, Larry deliberately job-hopped through different engineering firms, intentionally taking salary cuts. Why would he do that?
because he was actively trading immediate earnings for deep, primary technical education. He knew, for a fact, that he needed the knowledge way more than the cash if he was ever going to stand completely on his own.
And man, did that deep technical education pay off. Eventually, he received this raw, gritty $3,000 bonus check. And he didn't go spend it on a luxury item or a vacation. He used that exact $3,000 to officially launch Gibbs Construction right out of the front bedroom of his house, wearing literally every single hat, from superintendent down to janitor. That is the true cost of independence. And this brilliantly illustrates the poetic alignment of his whole journey. Notice the corporate timeline of Gibbs Construction here. Larry intentionally chose the bicentennial weekend, July 4th, 1976, to cash that check and officially incorporate. His corporate marketing perfectly aligned his personal drive for mental and financial independence with the nation's Independence Day. All right, we are opening things up for Phase 5, the canopy, equanimity and execution.
At the very top of our build is equanimity. Drawing from the 4,000-year-old Bhagavad Gita, Larry explains this state of mind using a massive metaphor. Think of an ocean. Streams flow into lakes, lakes flow into rivers, and raging rivers flow into the ocean. But the ocean? It never overflows. It just absorbs it all. Internal peace is the absolute prerequisite for massive external building. You simply cannot build a skyline if your own internal foundation is fractured. And to put that into perspective, here's the ultimate massive stress test of that internal peace. 400,000 square feet. That is the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the Caesars Superdome exterior canopy that had to be completely replaced after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans.
Gibbs Construction didn't deal in theoretical engineering here. They were dealing in literal civic survival. By successfully executing this massive reskin in the middle of a completely destroyed region, Larry proved that his abstract equanimity could physically yield results. They didn't just replace a roof, they restored a devastated city's confidence. The philosophical canopy held up under the most extreme external pressure imaginable.
Which finally brings us to Phase 6, the ultimate measure of legacy, handing over the keys.
So, the crucial point is that a true master builder doesn't just pile up wealth for themselves, they operationalize gratitude. They pass the structure on. After 43 years at the helm, Larry transitioned leadership to his daughter, Lauren, ensuring a generational legacy and making Gibbs Construction a 100% woman-owned enterprise. He took all the voluntary help he received early in his life and structurally converted it into active mentorship for the next generation.
And that brings us to the supreme introspective audit of a realized life. Look at the logic matrix you are building for yourself right now. Look at your daily bedrock, your reactions to crisis, your structural columns of competency. When it's all said and done and the project is finally closed out, can you honestly ask yourself, did we leave the world a little bit better than when we arrived? Because if you're actually executing your life like a true master builder, that answer shouldn't be a guess. It should be built right into your blueprint.